Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to TradeStation. This is Michael Burke. I'm Vice President of Client Training here at TradeStation, and I want to welcome you to another edition of our Art of TradeStation series. This series of events is designed to highlight some of the more powerful features and customization capabilities of TradeStation, all of the different platforms. Occasionally, these events are also hosted by David Russell, who is the editor-in-chief of the Market Insights website, part of TradeStation. So definitely keep a look at the calendar, and we do one or two of these events every single month. Today's event will showcase some custom VWAP tools, volume weighted average price tools, available in the App Store. These tools are primarily for building support and resistance levels for intraday traders, and they also allow you to scan for alerts in RadarScreen as prices cross over some of these key levels. So I'm going to kind of give you a general overview of VWAP, volume weighted average price. I'll show you the tools that come with TradeStation, and then we'll talk about some of these advanced tools that build these support and resistance levels based on previous closes of the VWAP during the week. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to type those into the chat. If I don't get to your question during this session, please feel free to email me. Keep in mind that the following presentation is for educational purposes only. All of the symbols and trading ideas discussed are for educational purposes and are not recommendations. Active trading is not suitable for everyone, and you can find additional disclosure information on the TradeStation website. If you're new to TradeStation and looking to get up to speed right away on the different TradeStation platforms, TradeStation Securities is hosting a daily training channel, getting started with TradeStation, on our affiliate website, youcantrade.com. Everything there is to help you get up to speed quickly. It is hosted by Jesus Nava, who's been with TradeStation for almost 20 years and is an expert in all things TradeStation. You can ask questions, watch archive videos, attend live sessions, and it's all for free. So just visit youcantrade.com, click on channels, and click on getting started. And once you've gotten up to speed on TradeStation and you're really ready to take your experience with TradeStation to that next level, I hope you'll check out Masterclass. So Masterclass is based on our in-person Masterclass that we used to do here at our TradeStation headquarters in South Florida. And the online version of Masterclass feels very much like that. There's sessions, live sessions every day. There's courses that you can take on strategy trading and easy language. David Russell does events in Masterclass as well. There's just a whole host of things that you can tap into. Technical analysis. We have started our strategy concepts, advanced white papers again. So there's all kinds of things in there for you to tap into. In Masterclass, you can take a trial of it for 14 days and see if it's for you. You get access to everything during those 14 days. So definitely check it out. And we're always talking about new ideas. We're always talking about new technical ideas and indicators and strategies, very similar to what we're doing here in this event today, but we do it every week in Masterclass. Okay, so today we're going to talk about volume weighted average price, or VWAP. It's something you hear about all the time, so we're going to talk about who uses this, what kind of traders look at VWAP, why you should care about it. We're going to talk about how it's calculated. So VWAP is an interesting calculation because we calculate VWAP on our data system in real time for every symbol on a tick-by-tick basis. So VWAP updates in real time, just like the close does, or volume, or any of the other snapshot kind of quote fields. TradeStation is calculating that VWAP for you in real time on our network. But that's only in real time. So if we want to look at VWAP historically, and we want to use VWAP in other ways, we have to simulate VWAP historically. And I'm going to show you how we do that in TradeStation, and I'm going to show you how close that simulation is to the real-time VWAP. And you'll see that we really don't give up anything by calculating VWAP historically. We'll talk a little bit about how we can use VWAP for trend identification. But more importantly, I'm going to show you some custom tools that use the previous day's VWAPs, several previous days, to build support and resistance levels for intraday trading. Those tools are available on the TradingApp store, and I'll show you how you can get access to those and try those out. What's unique about TradeStation as well is not only can we plot these kind of cool things in a chart, obviously VWAP is kind of a charting concept, but we can take that same information, that same analytical value, and put it on a list of symbols in RadarScreen. Instead of trying to look at 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 charts across multiple monitors, RadarScreen looks at hundreds of symbols all in real time and alerts you when there's something that you need to pay attention to. So I'll show you how we use RadarScreen in this example as well. Okay, so why should we care about VWAP? One of the things about VWAP is it is a universal concept that is generally used as a benchmark by many different types of traders. It's a gauge for where the market is right now on a particular symbol. In other words, all the traders are trading and they have come to a point during, throughout the day where they say, okay, at this particular time of the day, based on all the trades that have occurred today, this is the average price that it's traded at based on every single trade, including the volume. And so that is a really important benchmark that a lot of traders look at. It's also often used in large algorithmic trading programs. So there's these AI systems out there that are looking at VWAP and they are buying and scaling into positions. And the goal of the AI is to get in at a better price than the VWAP at the end of the day. So there's a lot of people buying and selling based on this VWAP value. So it's something we should pay attention to. And one of the ways that I'm looking at VWAP in this presentation is that at the end of each day, that whatever the market settled at as a fair VWAP value, I carry that value into the next day as a support or resistance level. And that's the set of tools that I'm going to show you today, is the support resistance aspect of using VWAP. So as I said, VWAP is calculated in a real-time mode and a historical mode that you can put under the chart with an indicator. So let's just talk real quick about real-time VWAP. So with real-time VWAP, every single trade that comes into our system, what we're going to do is we're going to keep a running total of the price of that trade times the volume of that trade. So if a trade went off at $53 and it was 500 shares, we're going to take $53, multiply it by 500, and put that into the bucket. And then we're going to divide that bucket by the total number of shares that have traded so far today. And that gives us the average price that that instrument has traded at to that point in the day, to that day, all in real time. So this resets every trading session, right? It starts out, as soon as the market opens, VWAP starts calculating, and it calculates it through the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it settles on a final VWAP price, which is the total VWAP for that particular day. And that's how it's calculated in real time. And TradeStation has a quote field that you can put into RadarScreen that shows you the volume weighted average price for a list of symbols. And you can also use that value in charting, but it's not a historical value. You only see that value on the last bar on the chart. And if you keep the chart open, yes, you'll see it kind of tick through the day, and those little tick marks will stay on the chart as you go through the day historically. But if you refresh the chart, it goes away because we're not calculating or storing that value. It's only in real time. So we needed a way to be able to calculate VWAP historically. And so we came up with an indicator that simulates VWAP historically on a chart. Typically, we want to look at this on a short time frame chart, like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that kind of thing. But I'll show you that here in TradeStation in just a second. So here's a chart. And the blue line that you see there is VWAP. But the only real-time VWAP that's calculated by TradeStation in the chart, that last little blue dot, that's in real time. That's calculating what the VWAP is as every new trade comes into this chart in real time. And then all the little tick marks that you see after that are what have occurred throughout the day and through the previous day. But if I were to refresh this chart, or I were to change the symbol, the VWAP would go away, because we're only calculating this in real time. But this is such a valuable number, I think, that we needed to calculate this and to simulate this historically so that we could build other tools and other indicators around this concept. Let's talk about historical simulated VWAP. So it's basically the same concept, except that historically when you insert this indicator into the chart, it doesn't have every tick for every bar. So it's going to simulate that by looking at the price of the bar and how many shares traded on that particular bar. And so now I do have a historical indicator that I can reference on the current bar, or I can reference it historically, and I can build all kinds of great tools around this using this historical value. The question you may have is, how good is the historical simulation against the real-time VWAP? You can actually test that in RadarScreen. You can actually put the real-time VWAP in RadarScreen next to the simulated VWAP on the current bar, and it depends on the price of the stock. So the lower the price of the stock, the closer they are, but they're usually within a few pennies of each other, and for trading that resolution is just fine. This is the calculation for historical VWAP. So same principle, right? Except that we are summing the bar price times the bar volume. And so basically we have a value for VWAP historically on every bar. So this is the indicator that you can put into TradeStation. It's called VWAP Simulated. And actually I have it turned off right now, but you can also put standard deviation bands around it. So basically the indicator that comes with TradeStation is a Bollinger Band, but instead of using a moving average as the center line, it uses the VWAP. And I'll show you that when we go into TradeStation. But here you can kind of see how it works. We are basically calculating a simulated VWAP on every bar. It restarts at the beginning of each day, right? It resets, and then we can see that VWAP throughout the day. And so that's the core calculation for the support and resistance tools that I'm going to show you. So here you can see that VWAP ended up here, right there. And so I think that is a really good support or resistance level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line into the next day at that level. And I'm going to go back one other day and where that closed. And I'm going to draw a line through this day and a line through the next day. In fact, I'm going to give you the ability to draw those support and resistance lines going back up to 4 days. And the other thing that I think is important here with this VWAP calculation is that I think it's important to look at Fridays, because here the idea is that each close is important, but Friday maybe has a little more importance because it's Friday. It's what the VWAP settled at, right, for the whole week. And so I'm going to just highlight the Friday line just a little bit so that you know which day is Friday. So the VWAP is always going to reset on the session open. So whenever the session opens, all the buckets get emptied, and as every tick comes in, or in the historical, as the bar closes, it's going to calculate that VWAP from that point forward. Some of you may have seen the VWAP in the matrix. There's a little V. Have you ever seen that little V in the matrix? Well, that V is the real-time VWAP that we calculate that you can actually put into RadarScreen, or you can put on the last bar in the chart. So that same little V is calculated system-wide on our data network, and it shows up there in the matrix, and it shows up in RadarScreen, and it can show up in charting as well. So as I said, as the market closes each day and settles on a final VWAP value, I think that value is important, and I'm going to carry that value into the next session. In fact, I'm going to carry the previous 4 closes into each session forward so that you have up to 5 support and resistance lines in the chart intraday. You have the current VWAP, you have 1 day ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and 4 days ago. And I'm going to highlight that Friday a little bit just because I think Friday could be a little more important going into Monday as a support and resistance level. So this is the tool that I'm going to show you in TradeStation. Again, the yellow line here is the current VWAP for the day. And then you have a legend up here for the colors. So 1 day ago is the cyan line, and 2 days ago is the green line, 3 days ago is the magenta line, 4 days ago is the white line. Sometimes the lines will be right on top of each other, so you won't see a green line or a magenta line or a white line. It's because somehow the VWAP settled on the exact same price or close to the exact same price on the previous day. You'd be surprised that happens more than you think it would. the way that I highlight Friday, and it's very subtle, but you'll notice that this is more of a scalloped look where there is a little bit bigger cross and then a smaller cross. It's hard to see in the slide, and it's just to set it a little bit apart. It's enough of a visual clue so that you know that that's Friday. So here you'll notice that it's green 2 days ago, and as we move into the current day, that scallop, carries forward because that's still Friday. So this was 2 days ago, this is 3 days ago, so Friday was 3 days ago. And that's what that's telling us there. And so that's the idea. One of the things that I've added to the update in the store for this indicator is that I did want to automatically put that real-time VWAP as a little cross over here on the right. So all these support levels are historical VWAP, but just so that you can see how close the real-time VWAP is to the historical, to the right of the last bar, I'm plotting the system-wide VWAP, the same VWAP that you see in the matrix. I'm plotting that right there so that you can see that. And so that's the idea. Each of these create a support or resistance level that you can pull into the next day. So now that we have those levels, we can certainly look at them on a few charts. If we're only trading a couple of symbols, then that's fantastic. But if we're looking for opportunities across, say, a number of different sectors or stocks or on a whole list of futures, we're going to need RadarScreen for that. So RadarScreen is the perfect tool for that. It allows us to put this exact same concept into RadarScreen on a list of symbols, and it will tell us whether the last cross above one of these lines was a bullish cross or a bearish cross. It'll tell us which of the levels is the price currently crossing, and it will also tell us if there is any support or resistance level above the last cross. This is the RadarScreen on the left there, and basically the same intraday VWAP tool that we were looking at in the chart, it's telling us whether the last cross was bullish or bearish. So if it crosses above any one of these levels, that's a bullish cross. And if it crosses below any one of these levels, that's a bearish cross. So it's just giving us the mode of the market for the last cross. And then on the alert column, it's telling us which day it crossed. So a bear, cross today means that it's crossing the yellow line. And if it's crossing 2 days ago, that's the green line. 4 days ago is the white line. So it tells you right away which of the 4 lines that it's crossing. And then it has this concept of whether or not there are any levels above the last cross. So notice this is sugar, by the way. And you'll notice that we're on a 3-minute chart. You want to keep the VWAP tools on a 1 or 2 or 3-minute chart, 5 minutes at the most, for the best resolution. And so here I can see that there's a bullish cross on the current VWAP. And this extension up, this up extension, EXT, means that there are no VWAP levels above this cross, which just tells me that there's no resistance above that cross. That's all I'm looking for there. So I just want to know whether this is a cross within the bands, within the levels, or is this a cross where there's a lot of room to go to the upside or a lot of room to go to the downside. So that is just telling me that there's no VWAP levels above the current cross. So I thought that was an interesting add to this. So those were futures. This is stocks. So here we're looking at the utility spider sector. And here you can get a feel for when the prices change, right? There's a gap up here. You can see the VWAP starting to calculate up here on the right. And it usually takes a little bit of time, anywhere from 10, 15, 20 minutes for that VWAP to kind of get in the groove. And then at that point, you can start looking for crosses. You can start looking for to see where the prices are in relation to the current day's VWAP. And so again, the same thing here. You can see that we're getting a cross above the VWAP here in the first few minutes of the session, and all the other VWAPs are below that. So we're getting that notification that there's nothing above that current cross. So here's a good example. Notice how white is Friday on this particular chart. You can see that scallop effect, and then it doesn't carry into the next day because we only go out 4 days. So we have blue, which is 1 day out. We have green, which is 2 days out. We have magenta, which is 3 days out. We have white, which is 4 days out, and yellow is the current. Here you can see that really clearly how yesterday it gets right to the close, and then it carries that into the next session. and that becomes the support or resistance level for that particular session. So here's RadarScreen, and you can see whether that cross was, and then of course what alert, what level it's crossing, and whether or not there's any extension of VWAPs above or below that. All right, so let's go to TradeStation. So the first thing I want to show you is the tools that come with TradeStation automatically. So this is a 3-minute chart of SPY, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go to Studies, and I'm going to go to Add Study. And so here in the Add Studies dialog, there's the VWAP estimated right there. And that is the simulated historical VWAP indicator right there. And so I'm going to click OK. And here, I mentioned before that it also has standard deviation bands around it. And you can control that here with the length and the number of deviations above or below here. You can also control what price you use for the VWAP. So average price means that it takes the midpoint of the bar, multiplies it by the volume for the bar, and puts that in the bucket. Or you could put the close here, and that would be the closing price times the volume for the bar, and that goes in the bucket. So you can control what price is used for that VWAP calculation. I think the average price is a good choice. In the tools that I created that I'm going to show you here, I actually use a hybrid method where I look at the difference between the high and the close, and I pick a value in between there for both for up volume and down volume, and I weight the volume accordingly. So my calculation is a little bit different, but I think it gives just a little bit of nuance to that historical VWAP. And so that center line is the VWAP right there. I'm just going to make these a little bit thicker so everybody can see them. And you can add that to any chart. This is a 3-minute chart of SPY. There you can see the previous day. And that makes for a really nice support and resistance, don't you think? At least it did today. All right, so that comes with TradeStation. So the tools that I'm showing you today are available in the TradeStation Trading App Store. I'm going to show you the link to that. You can try these for a couple of weeks and see if you like it, see if it fits your trading. And then there's a small monthly fee to continue using them. It's $9 a month if you want to keep them. And this is one of the few tools that the TradeStation Labs and University team put into the App Store. And I've been kind of enhancing it and adding features to it from the very beginning. And so this is one of those tools. So here in charting, if I double click on this, you have the ability to turn on or off any of the different lines. So if you don't want all 4 lines, you don't have to have all 4 lines. You can turn on just the ones that you care about. And you can also set the colors to whatever colors you want those lines to be. So here, if we look at, this is today. So we can see where the VWAP was today. We can see where it closed yesterday. This is where it closed 2 days ago. Notice that scallop effect. So that scallop effect is telling us that the green line there is Friday. And so that's something that I like to know. And then obviously you can see the range has been pretty big here. So we had a pretty good down day yesterday, which is why you see the prices here below the different VWAP levels. But we can see that there was an alert here on the tech sector. It was a bearish cross today. And if I click on that, that's XLK, and we can see that cross here right at the end of the day. And so you'll notice that these slightly larger kind of orange crosses are the visual clue that there was a cross on that VWAP. So it just makes it easy to see whether or not there was a VWAP cross on that particular bar. And you'll notice over here on the right, that's that real-time VWAP. So that's the system VWAP that you'll see in the matrix, or if you put that into RadarScreen, you can see that real-time VWAP right there. Anyway, you can put this on any symbol, and basically, I'm looking for a couple of things. This is very typical support and resistance type analysis. Here's another good example where the VWAP of 2 days ago ended up being a pretty good resistance level here. You'll notice that support becomes resistance. So this was support, it broke through, came right back. Now it's resistance, it bounces off of that, bounces off it again. It took a few times before it went back up here and then this became resistance, didn't make it, hit it a second time, didn't make it, and then it finally broke down at the end of the day there. But that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for support and resistance levels here. I know that it usually takes 1 or 2 times to test that support resistance level before it breaks through. If you look over at RadarScreen, I'm going to click on Future. So this workspace is part of the package in the store. So when you take the trial, you'll get this workspace and you'll get all the indicators. And there's a watch list of stocks. You can add, of course, any stock list that you want to this. If I click on Futures, I've given you a list of futures. This is kind of all of the major futures. You'll notice that I have the intervals here in RadarScreen set at 3 minutes. That's all part of the workspace. But if you're going to build your own charts and your own RadarScreen, you can certainly do that. But just try to keep the intervals around 3 minutes. One of the things that RadarScreen can do is you can hide plots that you don't need. So, for example, if I'm looking at stochastic in RadarScreen, I don't need the 0 plot or the 80 plot or the 20 plot, so I can hide those. And so what I've done here, I've hid the test for whether or not the VWAP is matching the historical VWAP, so whether the real-time VWAP is matching the historical. So if you want to, you can come in here and go to Studies, and you can unhide the RadarScreen VWAP, and you can unhide the TS real-time VWAP, and you can kind of see across all of these where the VWAP historical calculation matched up with the real-time VWAP. And you'll notice it's very close across all of these. I don't see any that are more than, just a small fraction apart. So that historical VWAP on a 1 or 2 or 3 minute chart is incredibly accurate versus the real-time VWAP that's calculated on our system. And you can watch this in real time throughout the day, and just so that it builds some confidence that historical VWAP is in fact doing what it should be doing. And it does. So if you're not familiar with the TradingApp store, this is a really important feature of being with TradeStation. We have a TradingApp store where developers and professional traders have a marketplace where they can share and sell their indicators and strategies and trading tools. There's utilities here. There's all kinds of stuff. Some of the indicators and strategies are for free as well. So a lot of the developers share some of their tools and share some of the things that they're working on. And so you should, if you haven't been to the App Store, you should definitely check it out. You can go to TradeStation and click on Learn, and there'll be a link inside of Learn for the Trading App Store. There's the link up there, just tradestation.tradingappstore.com. And this is just the home page. There is a featured section, and you can search by type of analysis. You can search on things that are free versus things that are a monthly subscription, and there's just a lot of great tools and a lot of great ideas here in the App Store, and all these things work in TradeStation. So you can subscribe, take a free trial of most of the products in the store. If it's something that you like, you can subscribe to it. By the way, there's no auto subscription here. So one of the things that's great about taking a trial in the App Store is that when the trial is over, you don't automatically auto subscribe to that product. You have to actually go back in and subscribe to that product. So this is the VWAP tools that I was showing you here. You can take the 10-day free trial if it's something that you think that you can use. It's just $9 a month after that. It comes with full PDF documentation. Once you have this tool, you can add it to any RadarScreen or any chart. You're not limited just to the workspace that I provided. These tools also work both in 9.5 and 10. So a lot of the stuff that I do in Masterclass, that is primarily just TradeStation 10. So this is still one of those tools that the labs team did that we kept in 9.5. And of course, I'm available by email support for anything that you need. So this is the link if you want to try the trial and check it out. And you have my email address, so please, feel free to send me any comments or feedback if you have any problems or any questions. Thanks everybody for watching today. I really appreciate it. You can watch the archive of this presentation on our YouTube channel. There's the link. Be sure to click subscribe when you go to the TradeStation YouTube channel. That way you'll get a quick notification if we have a new video that's posted or we're doing a live stream presentation. Also, be sure to check out Getting Started and Masterclass. I'm sure it can really help take your experience with TradeStation to that next level. There's the link for that as well. Again, thanks everybody. Have a great evening and good luck in your trading.